Welcome to Pagan Crafting. I'm your host, Cara. Today we're making winter solstice seasonal candles. We're going to use some recycled candles, some oranges. These are some of the candles we've made previously on the channel. But we're going to enjoy 5 new candles today. So join me as we recycle, reuse, and recreate. Okay, I got something so cool planned for you today. These 5 candles we're gonna play with we're gonna have a lot of fun. But this first candle is my new favorite way of decorating a candle. Grab yourself some liner pens, some maybe Sharpies, some felt pens. We're gonna grab some tissue paper that we pack our presents with, that kind, some parchment paper. I've downloaded some numbers here, 1 through 12. Not the numbers because you can get them off anywhere, but these ones here, these borders, these Celtic borders, the chakras, that one you're going to find on my Pagan Crafting Patreon for paid members. So you can download that and craft along with me if you'd like. Grab yourself a heat gun or a blow dryer and let's get started. So we're going to rough cut the length of the candle from tissue paper. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll it out. I'm going to kind of create a little template here so I don't make my design too big for the candle. I don't want it to wrap around too much. So this will be a nice little guide template for me to make here. Now trimming off the edges here, rolling it out. I'm just going to draw a line with a pencil and I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to use that template to make a second one because the paper will be a little bit layer or tapered down here for this type of candle that I've chosen. If you do get the taper candles that are more cylinder and unison all the way up, it's a lot easier to do for sure, but this will do me for now. So we have these borders to go with, but I'm going to start off with the Advent candle. Simply trace out the numbers, and it doesn't matter what side of the tissue paper you use. One side's going to be a little more glossier, one side's a flatter finish. It does not matter which one that you choose. So this is going to be just as simple as tracing it out. And I'm going to go to my liner pens now. Now this one I thought I could spruce up with a little bit of the red and greens in this. So I'm going to add some red berries and I'm going to have some green leaves with this, just something simple beside it. I don't think it needs to be too elaborate for what I'm working with. Now this is a Yule Advent candle that I'm making, but think of the possibilities you can make with spell candles. If you have a 10-day spell, maybe you can just number 1 through 10 on this, and then add your sigils, freehand your sigils onto the paper, or you can trace them out on whatever design you have. You can have all the words, names, birth dates, intentions. Instead of carving it on your candle, you could also put this in your paper. So we're going to make some spell candles come January. So stay tuned for that one. Pay attention for that. If you want to ring the bell so you'll be notified when the next candle video comes out, and we'll do some spell candles with this one in mind. So I'm just using Sharpies here. I've had really good luck with working with craft with this particular brand. It's just a favorite of mine. but you could use whatever you'd like. Now I can't decide if I can do the chakra candle. But I really love the Celtic flavor too. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna start off with the Celtic. Maybe I'll color in the background. I'm not sure yet, but I'm feeling the Celtic flavor first. So what I've decided to do is keep it really simple. I'm not going to color in the background black. I'm just going to take my markers that I've chosen and correspond with the colors here. And just bringing in some spirals of the corresponding colors to match up the different chakras. Now, for the fun part. This part can take a little bit longer if you're using a blow dryer. It's pretty quick when you're using a heat gun if you have one of those. So you want to line this up nice. Trim the back if you need to. Face down on your parchment paper. I didn't use wax paper, I used parchment paper in this one so I don't have anything extra sticking to it. Made sure all the paper was tucked in, and I do have this on one setting. So I'm gonna just kind of heat up the wax first. And then what you do is you wait till you see the tissue paper go from a foggy color. So it's kind of foggy right now, and then when you start to melt it, and take your time, don't go in too harsh, you're gonna have indents in your candle. But what it does, it starts to get a little bit darker, which I'll show you here. So as it starts to get darker, you know that now the wax is coming through the tissue paper and it's sticking to it. Look at that, now it's working. So you can see the lighter. And I'm just going to go back in and just heat up just a little bit for some of the edgelings, because I want all this wax to be seeped through the tissue paper. I don't want any little fires. So there it is, quick and easy, super, super awesome. And it's all stuck to it just fine. Let's do our chakra one now. I'm just going to trim off the excess. I thought I could work on for a chakra a day and just light the candle and dedicate each day to one chakra. So that's the plan with this one, a little bit of a enchanted, motivational, intentional candle. And doing the same thing again with the parchment paper, holding on tight, and you keep working it until it gets a darker in color, till you see the darker outlines. And the last little bit, you just go over it one more time, heating everything up. But if you try to melt it this way, it won't stick. The tissue paper won't stick to around the candle properly. So you do have to use the parchment paper to help adhere that. Dun, 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 dun. And it's done. It is so pretty. Oh, turned out better than I expected, and the colors are even brighter than I originally saw on the tissue paper. Let's have some fun with some other styles of candles. So we have lots of oranges. Let's have some fun with this one. Now I find if you could use a grapefruit knife is what I'm using to get out these. And I'm just scraping out the excess orange. Not gonna waste any. These oranges were getting a little dry, but they were still super sweet, so I wound up munching on those. Okay, so we have those are all set. And for this orange, what we do is I've poured this solar candle and we're going to put that inside the orange here. So let's kind of trace the outline of whatever candle you'd like to put inside the orange. Using a Sharpie, nothing fancy because we're not going to see the black outline. We're going to cut that right off. Now this orange was getting pretty dried, so I don't know what the flavor's like, but that's all we're going to cut off. Just a little bit that we marked out, and now we're going to do a little incision, going straight down first, and then we're going to bring in a cone. Coming in with my grapefruit knife, doing a little slice. Now we don't need to go all the way down because we want to make a little inset insert. Oh, that's a lot of juice. That's beautiful. Insert with the candle. So what we're going to do with this one, it's a little wobbly, so I'm going to just trim off the bottom just a little bit here so it holds it nice and straight. It's not going to flop around. Waste not, want not. I'm eating that. Yeah. Okay, so I want this to smell amazing. So as the candle heats up, whatever I put inside the orange, such as cinnamon, it's going to enchant it and make it smell so good. I have some cedar here, some old growth cedar. We're going to put some of that in there as well. These are all wonderful little protective herbs and sacred herbs of the Canadian Pacific and Canadian, I guess more Western Canada. So you can also put some cloves in there too. You can put pine needles, you can put rosemary in there. Even sage would be divine, but I love the smell of the cedar and cinnamon with the oranges. Now this one here, I'm going to be putting some pine needles. I'm putting a healthy amount of hot glue because I am sticking a wick to a wet orange. So I did put a huge glob of glue to help hold those wicks in there. Adding some more pine needles. Now don't go too thick. I'm just adding a little bit of needles here and there, not only for a little texture, for a little smell, for a little color, but if you start putting branches in, you do have quite a possibility of a little fire hazard. So something to be careful about. Unless you're lighting it outside, then it doesn't matter. Throwing down some cloves in there for some extra beautiful scents. Now this here is my candle that was, the wick kind of got lopsided, but this is my Yule candle from last year. So I have anything from holly to ivy to I have some mistletoe in there. I have cedar, sage. I have everything that I wanted to enchant for 2024 in that candle. So reusing that wax, I melted it down, pouring that into those candles. I like to keep my last year's solstice candles for the winter and for the summer, and I will reuse them in the following year, the wax, or the candle itself. We'll just melt it right down and reuse the ingredients. Now I'm cutting some moons out of some dried oranges. Now these oranges look a little bit burnt, but actually I sprinkled cinnamon on them while they were in the oven. So just for some beautiful smells while I was drying them, I thought it'd be a double whammy. Now what I thought I'd do, I thought I was being smart about this. I used some hot glue to adhere the oranges to the side of the candle, but then I wound up mixing in red wax, and then we couldn't see it. So I'm just, in spirit, we're going to know that the oranges are there. So if I would have stayed with maybe my white wax that I was using, you probably would have just seen my little orange moons a little bit better in the candle. But that's okay. Recycle, reuse. I'll forget that these little moons are here, and then next year when I go to melt down the candle, I'll find all these little moon oranges. It's a thought that counts. We have this solar energy coming into the winter solstice candle. Adding a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of my candle wick. Now this, we're going to keep it long for now, and then we'll trim the wick later. I have some beautiful soy wax, and this candle will burn for so very long. Now I realize I didn't quite pour enough or melt enough of the soy, so I have leftover Yule candle from last year. You can see the cedar. Oh, I even see jasmine flower that was floating in there. So my white candle is now, instead of being a really rich wine red, it's probably going to turn out pink on me, but I kind of like it. I might get some kind of orangey pink, so maybe the blood orange feel will come into it. Using some blue spruce or blue fir, whatever this one is. Now I fiddled with this for a while. This little thing here fell into the candle 5 times as I was doing this take. Oh my gosh. But anyway, let's move on to some beeswax candles. I have some beeswax sheets left over. I love rolling beeswax this time of the year for my Yule log. But this year I'm going to be giving away a couple candles to my elder. So we're going to be adding some extra special herbs and sacred herbs into this roll here in just a moment. So when rolling with beeswax, it's nice when you have warm hands. You can work the wax, the sheets quite easily, but they can also break. So the first little bit is just take your time, pinching a little bit as you go, and then it will start to roll for you. Be careful it doesn't crack on you. And start a roll. Now what I'm going to add here is the 4 sacred herbs. Now that is sage, sacred tobacco, cedar, and sweetgrass. Because I'm giving this to my indigenous elder, I thought I'd honor her with her 4 sacred herbs. Now you could easily just warm the edges with your hands, or I'm taking the side of my hot glue gun and just on the edges ever so slightly heating it up and sticking it. Now you can just sit there and work it with your hands, and it will warm up and it will seal for you too. You can just work it with your thumbs. But I'm just skipping a few minutes here. And there's one done. Well, thanks so very much for chilling out with me today as we made these 5 new candles. Now I will show you that above these Advent calendars we have these candles here with the star, I will put a link to the video. These 3 candles with the white, I will also put a link to that video on how to make those. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and as always, have yourself an absolutely magical day.